studio technique test where you don't hit record and you get something really good, and then you try and recreate it and it comes out shit.
Yes, that's
That
the
old
worst.
technique. Oh, right. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, no worries.
So,
Thanks for asking.
how's your morning?
Good.
Go on, do it. Just tell the truth.
Jonah was up for a couple of hours last night. My son, who's 19 months old, and then we had to get up and go to nursery. So at 7, got up. I went to sleep about 3:30.
Yeah.
So I felt like death this morning, but I just held him at the nursery door and ran away.
I always. Do you ever feel guilty for feeling like that?
No.
No? Okay, fair enough. So there was a point, like the first 4 or 5 months when Amelia was born. I couldn't do enough for her. I couldn't spend enough time with her. It was everything was great. Although, babies, they keep you up. And then there's this line that you cross. And now it's like, no, you're going to school now, or you're going to nursery. You're going to do the thing, and I'm going to go and have a break, and because I can't stand it anymore. I'm about to break. But then I always feel guilty. But then I realise that everybody else feels that.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel guilty.
Okay, maybe you've. He
loves it though. I think that's the thing.
Okay,
he's never cried when I've left him.
Okay.
I say I threw him at the door. He literally ran in with his gang of friends and didn't look back. And I was like, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has such a great time there that I don't really have any mum guilt. And also because I think like the reality is as a singer, I have to be away on weekends or whatever. And that's my job. And if I felt guilty about always being away, then I just haven't got time for that.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's got a great community of family and his dad. And yeah, I spend a lot of time with him because he's only in nursery 2 days a week. So
that's a lot. And how have you found like motherhood and doing gigs and touring and sessions and things like that?
Yeah, wild. I feel like I'm out here as a frontier. I feel like there's just not that many I don't know that many singer mums. Okay. I know more now. But like coming up in my career, singer mums wasn't really a thing for a long time.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like I'm just figuring it out as I go along. But I feel like maybe everyone's doing that. But
there doesn't ever come a point where you think, "Oh, I've got this cracked. I've got this nailed now." Everybody is just fucking winging it. Whether they tell you that or not is a different story. But no, I've not figured it out. I'm still like, even now. I had to take Marlo to the station, and she's like, "Oh, I might have to work Friday." I was like, "Okay, well, I need to know because I've got a gig Friday. We need to arrange some kind of childcare. So I'll let you know at the end of the day. My kids are 11 and 12. So we're still going through it. It's still that. I think it's always going to be a thing. And I think, especially with Kiara, because, she has Down syndrome, you always think, when they get to like 14, 15, we can just leave them. But there's still that little voice, a little niggle at the back of my head that goes, can I leave them? Should I leave? Should I leave? Should I let my 15-year-old watch my 14-year-old for an entire evening? Is that good parenting? I don't know.
When you get there.
We got a couple of years. We've got a couple of years.
Oh my gosh, is that all?
I know, it's great. She started high school this year.
No.
So she's done her first full week at high school, which is. I mean, she's still quite little.
Yeah, they are like year 7 photos. Yeah. All the uniforms look massive. So, and the blazers, and
slightly too big.
Yeah.
But yes, she's so far she seems to be taking it in her stride, and she seems to be doing all right.
I love that.
It's cool. Yay. It's quite cool.
How do you find the balance? Like, so, Marla, you said she works kind of more of a daytimey job, doesn't she?
Well, I think her hours can stretch from sort of 8-9 in the morning to 8-9 at night.
Okay. Yeah, so that's difficult. So Stu, my husband Stu, he has a very like 9 to 5 job, but he actually saying that he comes home and does more work, or can be a bit more flexible with his time now.
Okay.
But very much like the weekends are the weekends. So we're really trying to find that balance where, on peak season, am I just away every weekend? Do we try to like book out, right, this is going to be our family weekend of the month, and then we still have Sundays, and, kind of like balancing out like that.
Do you find that you have to plan that?
Oh my God,
a lot ahead? And you have to, I assume you'd have to sort of start saying no to gigs and no to work because, you've got to put in that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We are serious planners. We do the shared Google Calendar thing. Every time I have a gig, I put it in the diary. If particularly for things like collection on nursery days, if I have a session that I don't want to have to cut short to go home and get Jonah, I'll put that in the diary that you have to go and get. Stu has to go and get him from nursery and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of, but that's like, I don't know about you, but like for me as a session or just a professional singer, my diary is literally like everything.
Yeah.
People ask me where I am on the weekend, and I'm like, oh, check my diary.
No, I don't. I try not to remember it.
I don't hold any of that stuff in my head. I don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
I don't. I don't want to know. I don't want to be able to recall that on the 7th of July I was in Farnborough.
Yeah. I don't know why you want Farnborough. Why would you want to be in Farnborough? You only go to Farnborough if you're being paid to go to Farnborough.
Yeah.
I grew up not too far from Farnborough, and it's apparently, I drove down there the other day. It's changed a lot. It used to be kind of there was a lot of spillover from Aldershot, which used to house the parachute regiment. And so there was a lot of spillover. It was quite rough.
God, not spillover.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to talk about, so as a mother who does most of the daytime care, how do you find time to do music? Do you find time?
Yeah. You know what? Nap time.
Yeah.
And then nursery. It's been the one. I managed to write a couple of songs for Love Island when Jonah was 3 months old, because I literally just, at that age, I think he was doing like 3 naps a day, and they were only like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was literally like, put the baby down, run to the room, right. Okay, stop. And like, I literally just did it in like 3 little short bursts. Like, yeah. So nap times.
Do you find that you become more productive in those little pockets of time? You can get more done.
Yeah. So before I had Jonah, I would spend the day going, oh, I need to write this song. Oh, I need to get myself feeling creative. Or let me just tidy everything up first. Let me let's put some nice smells on. And let me just do this other procrastinating thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, no, absolutely not. This is the time that you have to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it now, you're not doing it. And that's the same. I'm studying for my PG cert at the moment as well. Okay. And that's literally all, like, everyone else on my course doesn't have kids apart from one person.
Okay.
And a lot of them are like, leave things to the last minute. Oh, I'm going to catch up with all of that on the weekend, because we had like weekly tasks, and then there was the essay and stuff for the first year. Okay. And they kind of saw me to be a boffin because I had to get the work in. My only time to do my work is on my commute into London, which I loved. So I just did all my coursework on the train and on the tube. So I got it in every week on time, because if I didn't do it then, it would not get done. There is no other time. So there's nothing like, it forces your hand to be way more focused, and I am, like, now I would definitely say I've always been very focused and driven, but now I just can't procrastinate. I just can't. It's either you do it or you literally don't do it.
Yeah. So it's the difference between being disciplined and being motivated.
Nice.
I heard, I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Jocko Willink.
No, great name.
He is, he's an ex.
You got bullied for the name?
I doubt it. When you see the size, I don't know. Maybe he changed from high school to now. But he's an ex-Navy SEAL.
Oh,
and he now does sort of mentorship. He now teaches about leadership, business development, this kind of thing. And he said something that it just changed. Like when you hear someone say something, it changes your perspective. And he said that dedication will eat motivation for breakfast. If you can get up, do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel, your life is going to start changing. I was like, wow. So even if we talk about practicing, if I practiced only ever when I felt like it, I wouldn't make progress. But if I set aside a time, it's like, okay, at this time, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do 20 minutes of X. Then I'm going to do 20 minutes of Y. Then I'm going to do this. And if I hit that every single day, even over the course of a week, you can see like amazing progress. Whereas if I just did it when I felt like it, you just kind of hover in that area of maintaining just about.
Yeah, true.
So, how do you feel about? So how do you? I know you teach at BIMM as well. How do you approach your students practicing? And do you practice what you preach?
Yeah. Look, I think I would say I'm in a different era to them.
Yeah.
And when I was in their era, I was practicing what I'm preaching. And what I preach is exactly that: making a promise to yourself and committing to it, putting it in your diary, making alarms, committing to yourself, like not moving that thing and keep moving it, making it an achievable thing, making it something that you can reflect on and kind of keep growing, and also using different ways to keep yourself accountable, like peers, or starting to do practice with your friends, or checking in with your teachers, or stuff like that. So a lot of making yourself accountable is really important, and also making sure that the practice that you're doing is really high quality. So not just spending hours on your warm-up, unless you feel like you vocally need to warm up a lot that day. Yeah. Like I feel like I probably do today. But I think actually planning out your practice and thinking, what am I trying to achieve? Am I warmed up? Okay, now I'm going to do the next bit of this practice is going to be specifically working on this section of a song, not just singing through a song on repeat. Like actually looking at the technique or looking at a technical exercise, and really kind of, you get to that like meditative in the zone space sometimes when you're doing the thing repeatedly, and each time you're tweaking it. So that's what I would say to my students. If they want to build their mixed voice, or they only sing in their head voice, or stuff like that. And so that's what I did a lot when I was studying. Okay. I didn't have a mixed voice, and then by the end of my degree, I had one. Okay.
What's you have to explain this, because for people, because I know what it means. What is a mixed voice?
Okay, so you have 3 different places that you can sing from your voice. Your head voice, which is like, you think like choral, very high, very soft, small sound. Your chest voice is predominantly where you might yell from.
Could you give us examples of these as well?
Okay. Yes, of course. So if you were singing, it's very small. It's very, it's like you resonate it in your head. Okay. Chest voice. Here we go. Okay, so chest voice would be, I'm going to turn the microphone down because it's going to be loud. Chest voice would be, What you want, baby, I've got it.
There we go.
So it's like a much louder sound. If you were going to shout, hey, oi, you, it's coming from there. Then your mixed voice is kind of a blend of both of them, and you use your soft palate, which is like this, the space at the back of your throat. It's called your larynx, which you lift to create a softer sound. Baby, seems like everywhere I go, I see you. So it's warmer and like fuzzier. Good. So those are your three voices.
Those are your three voices. It was. It's always nice learning something that you've not that you never knew before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I always ask this of people, if you had to teach yourself to sing again, let's say you had, I don't know, a throat operation, you've got to learn to sing again, you've got someone else's larynx or someone else's voice box, but you retain all of your information. What's the best way, the quickest way, the most efficient way to get from not being able to sing to be able to go out and maybe, let's say, earn a living from it?
Okay. And so this is like me as an adult, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good question. So I know you were saying the most quickest and efficient way, but actually I would say there almost isn't a quick and efficient way, because I would look at focusing more of the foundations. So making sure that I fully understood the physicality, like, of where things are. So for example, what it feels like to use my diaphragm when I'm breathing, and diaphragmatic breathing, what that really physically feels like, and making sure that that's connected. And then exploring what it physically feels like to sing in the different placements without like putting my own ideas on it. But everything that I would do small, and I would do gentle, and I would build it up to full capacity. Because I think actually a lot of the time with teaching, it's not so much about physically what you're doing, but it's like mentally what you're doing, because people have an idea of how they think they should sing. And usually it's the opposite. Singing is actually kind of getting out of the way, and allowing sound to come out.
Okay.
So, but supporting it.
Okay. So, when you hear big singers, let's say Aretha Franklin, and you hear the power in the voice, I automatically think that she must be using so much energy, so much, so many muscles in her, in her stomach or in her throat, and it must be exhausting. So you're saying it's actually less than that?
The opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. And that's part of your job, is to make it look harder than it is.
Okay.
Because when you are fully aligned and fully connected and supported, the muscles you're going to be using muscles in your throat, but you're not, it's actually much more like a smaller group of muscles, and it's really delicate and finicky, and you have these little, like, there's like a little pivoty bone that like tilts your larynx, and it's all really delicate.
Okay.
When we think about trying to use muscles, we then think about using the neck muscles or the shoulder or the chest muscles. We don't want any of that. We actually want to use, if you're going to use any muscles, it should be your back muscles to support you, to anchor you into the sound, and everything should be relaxed and open. And those big notes, they can really come from, it is the soul, it's coming from your solar plexus, it's coming from down here. Because if we tense to get things out because we're trying to think about using muscles, we're going to think our way into it, which is going to create more tension, and we're actually going to restrict the sound. You have muscles that go across here, like constrictive, I can't think what the word is, but they go across here, right? And if we're like, everything gets tight, you can't use your instrument properly, your larynx can't move freely.
Okay. So when you see people, so how does it differ from people who sing, I don't know, heavy metal, from singing something that's, because it's still a big voice, but it just, there's a different tone to it.
So I'm not an expert.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you the little knowledge that I have. So that is more around like vocal texture, like you said. So you're creating a vocal distortion with your vocal cords. So we have two sets of vocal cords. We have the true ones and the false ones. The true ones are where we make sound. And then you've got the false ones that sit on top, and they kind of act as like putting pressure on in different ways to help us create sound.
Okay.
And when you hear that like distortion, what they're doing is they're allowing those false folds to flap around.
Right.
And that creates that distorted sound. And that's how you can get distorted pitch. So like a really basic level of that is doing a vocal fry or the sound from The Grudge. Oh.
Okay.
That's a really baby version. And then
Okay.
and that from that is where you develop it.
And
so that sound is, you hear the pitch and you also hear the creak.
Yeah.
And that's the false folds.
Okay. And does that damage your vocal cords?
No. So I often recommend vocal fry is a really good way of gently warming up or warming down your voice.
Okay.
So I tend to vocal fry in the car on the way home.
Right. Okay.
It just helps to gently bring the voice back down. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of singers out there that are in the metal scene or whatever that are just hurting their voice.
Right.
But then there are those that
are doing it properly. Okay. So I always thought that when I heard people do that, it's like, well, that guy's probably got, or girl's got probably 10 years until they lose their voice, surely. So, but it's the same as warming up any muscle. Once it's warmed up and you know how to do the technique, it's something you could do forever.
Yeah, it is. It's a technique and skill that you have to build up, and once you've got it, you know. But the problem always actually comes more from lifestyle, and I can say that for rock singers, and I can say that for pop singers.
Right. Go on, define lifestyle.
So more to do with when you get to a certain level and you're touring and you're doing radio performances in the day, big shows in the night, back to back, you are then, it's how much strain you're putting on your voice. Then you might be doing lots of talking because you're on tour. Yeah. You might have some interviews booked in. You might have, you're around loads of people all the time. You're chatting. You're using your voice a lot.
Yeah.
Then there's the poor sleep, sometimes poor diet. I mean, let alone alcohol and smoking and whatever else.
Yeah.
After parties, being in loud places and talking loud over music, the lifestyle of relentlessly actually using your voice is when you can cause more damage. And that's what happened to Jessie J, Sam Smith, Adele. A lot of these big singers have kind of had to go on vocal rest or have nodules removed, which is like a callus, like if you get a callus on your hand or on your foot. It's getting a callus on your vocal cord where it's been rubbing together in the wrong way for too long, and you start to build up skin, and then you get a husky voice, or you lose a section of your range, and you actually get vocal fatigue, and you can't use your voice like you were before. Okay,
so when you are on tour or you're doing lots of gigs, do you just limit how much you talk to people? It's a great excuse not to talk to people.
I know, right? Yeah, it's really boring being the singer because you have to do a lot. Like, long haul flights are horrific for your voice. And we actually have, I say we, me and my best friends that I went on tour with, we have these like masks. They're like a hard plastic mask that basically recycles the moisture from your breath. So you breathe in moistened air.
Okay.
And you wear it on the flight because your voice dries out so much on long haul flights.
Is that the air conditioning?
Okay. Yeah, the air is really dry. So we wear these masks to like protect your voice, to kind of keep it more hydrated. And I swear by it. I think they're awesome. But when everyone's going out boozing,
you've got to stay in.
I
rest.
would go. I just wouldn't drink.
Yeah.
And be conscious of, if you're in a loud bar, I wouldn't be trying to shout over the music, which is just so easy to do.
Yeah.
And getting enough rest, because you're more likely to get ill as well. Getting ill on tour sucks.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I remember having to do a show. It was in a warehouse in December, and they had one of these huge, like, industrial size heaters to try and warm it up a little. And I got there, I did sound check, everything was fine. And at 8 o'clock, like half an hour before we went on, a switch went, and I just went, now I'm sick.
Yeah.
And I was sat in, like, with a coat wrapped around me, sat right in front of this industrial heater to try and get warm, and then had to go and perform. It was horrible. So yeah, getting sick, even if you're on tour, or if you're just gigging regularly, it's just fucking worst.
And I have to say, I've had the same thing, and then also having to just stay in your hotel room when everyone else is going out, and you're like, ooh, I'm alone and I'm sick and I'm missing out on the fun.
But as an instrumentalist, I can kind of get through it if I'm not feeling great. But if I was to have to sing, how do you do it? How do you get on and sing if you're sick?
Yeah, it's hard. So this is where a couple of magic things happen on stage when you're sick, because all the resonance. This is what I find from my experience. I'm speaking from experience, not from, I haven't read anything about this. But, the resonance helps to move things around a lot. Yeah. So when you're like, you can clear your sinuses with a bit of like resonant warm up. And I find that the adrenaline of being on stage can help. And also, depending on how sick you are, you can generally push your voice to do more than you would want it to do when you're sick. Yeah. If you have to, but you'll probably pay the price for it later. So I'm thinking of one thing where it was in Korea, and we were doing like a TV thing, and I just knew I had to get through it. So I just pushed, and it was fine. One of the other singers did the big note that I couldn't do that day.
Right.
But I knew that I then had a couple of days of rest. Okay. And I just looked after myself, drank a lot of water, drank hot water is really good.
Okay. How do you approach drinking alcohol, and dare we talk about drugs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like a drink, but I'm not someone that needs to drink a lot. I don't need to drink to go on stage. Yeah. I have toured with people that do need to drink to go on stage, and it's just counterproductive because it's a very dehydrating thing. So yeah, to be honest, you have to be more sensible. I personally am, because I want longevity with my voice, particularly when I'm asking so much of it. It depends, if I sing in a much more like challenging part of my voice. I'm more of a belter, high soprano, like a high mixed voice. And that takes a lot more work than, say, if I was going to be like a softly sung, husky kind of, you can kind of get away with being a bit hungover and lean into that. Yeah. Whereas it kind of doesn't work for me. So yeah. And I mean, I personally wouldn't do drugs on tour. I know a lot of people that maybe smoke weed before they go on stage, or to write music because they think that helps. But I really beg to differ. I
can speak from experience that drinking and taking drugs doesn't make you any more prolific. Yeah. But I think that there's always this kind of an attitude. If you look at, let's take the Beatles. They said, well, they were just off their face on LSD, or they were smoking weed, they were doing whatever, and look at the music they made. And so you have this almost this kind of bizarre concept that you think, well, if the Beatles took drugs and they wrote Sgt. Pepper's, if I take drugs, I'll be able to write an album like Sgt. Pepper. But I think the truth is if the Beatles didn't take any drugs, just imagine what they would have created.
Whoa, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is a very distracting thing. We think that we're going to get super focused, but you don't. You just get really distracted.
It's look at the size of the corner of the table. Look how the tables meet in the side of the edge of the room, and look how the sunlight is. And before you know it, 4 hours have gone.
Yeah. So exactly, and the Beatles. They worked at their craft for years. They honed their craft. Of course, they were going to write Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
They were always going to write something as good as that. It was just, that was the context from which they drew all of their experiences from, and wrote that album. But they're excellent songwriters.
Yeah.
They could write a great song in their sleep.
Did you know that they spent 2 or 3 years touring around Germany doing club nights? I didn't know that. When they were, I think they were just out of high school, 15, 16, 17, and they spent 2 or 3 years I think it was in one German club.
Yes.
Every single night playing for 3 or 4 hours.
Did they have a different name then?
I don't remember.
Or they had a different look. They had a more
50s rock and roll kind of look. But that's...
Yes, and this is what I mean. They put the work in.
Yeah.
This is like, a lot of people think that, to be an expert in anything, it just happens, or you do some TikToks or whatever. No, those people that are really good on TikTok, they've been practicing that for years. They've just got to this point, and you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. You had the idea of 10,000 hours, doing 10,000 hours in whatever you do. If you're doing 10,000 hours in something, you'll become an expert at it. Like, I do really agree with that. There is no shortcut. You have to just do it, go through it, put yourself in hard situations and learn.
No, I definitely agree. I think the 10,000 hours thing has been debunked. And I can't remember where I saw it or where I read it, but I remember some people saying that 10,000 hours for one thing might be fine, but you might need 20,000 hours for something else.
Nice.
So,
to be a doctor.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's, you've got to put in the work. And I think like, if we go, like, the Beatles just front loaded their career. So at 16, if you're just doing 3 or 4 hours a night, 7 days a week for 2 years, by the time you hit your 20s, you're like, we're old hands at this.
Exactly.
Which, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great to see it, but
yeah, I mean, I'm always telling my students, like, get out in the world and do the thing. They're always asking me how can they get better, and I'm like, there's only so much practice in your bedroom you can do.
Yeah.
There's only so much singing in front of a camera you can do. You need to go out into the world and do the crap gig and fall on your face and then figure out how to get back up.
Yeah.
And there is no other way than to learn about that than doing it, to have the horrible gigs, to have the crowds that didn't respond to you, or to have the guitar break, or the microphone give you an electric shock, or
oh, that's the fucking,
the
when you
PA
walk up to it
breaks. There's only one way to learn about that stuff.
Yeah, and that's to do it. Yeah, so what's your worst gig?
Ooh. Well, I'll go most recent.
Okay.
It was more a weekend of gigs.
Okay. All right. So
these were all just like cover gigs. And this was the year after we'd kind of come out of lockdown. And I was pregnant, actually. And so we have this humongous backlog of weddings.
Yeah.
And usually wedding makes up a portion of what I do, but it's not everything, because for me, I can't do just like one thing all the time. I have to do a variety of stuff to feel sane. But I just gave myself over to the brides and grooms and said, this is the year of the weddings. I give myself over to you guys. You guys, this is it. I had to postpone my wedding twice, so I get it. But it was a weird crowd on these gigs, because everyone was very like entitled to have the party, man.
Yeah.
We've been through so much. We're going to party like we've never partied before. And they were just, can we swear?
Yeah.
They were just dicks. They were horrible people that took it too far. And I was pregnant, so I felt quite vulnerable anyway, but was out there doing the gigs. And just in a weekend, I had 7 people fall into the stage,
Nice.
of which 3 fell on me, of which 1 was so bad I have a scar on my leg because we fell into the drum kit. And I knew these people were going to fall into me, and I kept being like, away, please back away from the stage. You, sober-looking person, take your friend away. So being pregnant and having really drunk people fall on you at a time where you don't want people near you anyway, because you're worried you're going to get COVID.
Yeah.
When that was a thing.
Yeah. Apparently it's coming back. Apparently we got round 4 coming up.
Woo!
I think people are done with it.
I know.
Good luck.
Yeah, it is knocking about a bit, but I think it's always going to be around. But yeah, so I was, and by that last gig where this giant sweaty man fell on me and we crashed into the drum kit with all of, not just the drum kit, he had like the tracks and a player, like the laptop, just the mixing desk. Yeah. Everything was there, and we fell into all of it. And I stabbed my leg on the kick, like on the kick drum skin key thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, that hurt. And I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And you could see I was pregnant. And I'm not kidding. He was humongous. And I was just like, get off me. Get the fuck off my stage. We are going home. And it was so awful because the bride and groom were not. They were like so rude to us about it. And as I'm packing up, more people were falling into the stage. And I'm like, look, this is not acceptable. And it was in the dark. I had to like pack up the PA in the dark. And they're trying to like get into, can we play our music? Like, yes, but you have to wait because there's no space.
Yeah.
I have to clear some space for your thing. And so after that, I actually, because I was like, I can gig and be pregnant. I can do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to gig right up to the, like, until I'm ready to pop. But yeah, I was like, absolutely not. I'm done. Yeah. And I'd kind of pulled back from gigs a month earlier than I planned because it was just.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was a pretty rough one.
There are, it's for people that, either that book gigs, like when you're on tour, or if you're just doing a function or a wedding. You get some people that just can't do enough for you, and then there are some people that you're literally, they don't care that you're there, and you're just there as an annoyance and a nuisance. And I think learning how to deal with those people is a huge thing. I don't think it's ever talked about really. It certainly wasn't when I was at college. I don't know what it's like now. If there's a course on how to deal with rude assholes at BIMM, but there should be. But it's just, I think it's just it can be a real shit on the night, and it can just make you think, why am I doing this? Why am I dragging my shit all the way up 4 hours up to Manchester to be met with, you know, hostility and indifference, except for those 2 hours where I'm performing, but everything either side of that, they don't want to know. Yeah, I know. It is really disheartening. I think actually for me, in my working career, the best thing that kind of has stood me in good stead to deal with people on gigs was working in a bar. Okay, yeah.
Is learning how to negotiate with drunk people and how to politely manage them to remove themselves. Yeah. Those skills have actually, that's how I manage a crowd a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's just not being
transferable
afraid.
Skills.
Very, very transferable. Ushering drunk toddlers around.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I always thought that managing small children is like managing drunk people.
Oh my God, it so is.
Yeah, just shit everywhere. So you're going to tidy? No, I'll tidy up. All right. Oh, you've puked up. Oh, I guess I'll have to clean that up. Oh, and you've pissed yourself again. All right. let's just sit in the garden.
Yeah.
But
pretty much.
Yeah. So in terms of, you know, you mentioned earlier about, you know, getting your students to like how to get better. What's your take on yourself getting better? Do you actively push for it, or do you just kind of maintain where you're at the moment?
Yeah, so I had to really think about this one because I don't regularly. Before I had Jonah, I would spend, because I had more time, I would be like, I'm going to sing today, and I would do more of that. Whereas now I don't have that time. If I'm singing, it's because I'm working on a recording or whatever. I generally always join in when I'm doing like teaching stuff, so that is a lot of it. But I think I've got to a point where now for me, it's my personal goals is more about creativity, expression, and exploration, using all of the technical skills that I have. And so for me, it's more about like listening and creative writing and collaboration and working with people. And that's my current like focus and practice, is making sure that the songs that I'm writing are more exciting than just my ABCs of songwriting.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with my practice at the moment, is more, really it's more songwriting based, because I feel like my technical skill, I've got that. But I think the best place that I can practice is on gigs, is when I'm singing the same songs over and over again. I generally try to like mess around with them. I try not to always go for that same riff. I try and take a moment to be creative, or try and engage people in a different way. So I'm always like thinking on the spot, like how can I make this better? How can I make this more interesting for myself, let alone the audience?
Yeah, I mean, when you've done Valerie for, what is it, 15 years? Do you ever think to yourself, right, I'm going to try and sing this. I'm not going to sing it like this because that's how I've done it last week. I'm now going to I'm going to try and sing it like this, just to make it interesting for you. But then you also can't shift too far away from the original, because people are like, what the hell is she singing?
Yeah.
But it's striking that little balance between making it a bit more interesting for yourself or a bit more challenging, but still trying to stay as true as you can to the original.
Yeah, I think that comes down to like structuring. It's knowing where you have moments in the song that you can express yourself, and that people are going to accept, oh, she's having a moment now. And then parts where, okay, you know what to do. You sing this bit with me, and kind of bringing people in. So I think structuring is really important when you're kind of playing around with a song, because if you just riff over the whole thing, you're going to lose it, and that is a fine balance that only comes with practice. Because I've definitely seen some students try and like make a song their own, and I'm like, that's a completely different song. It's not just your own. Like, if I was, as a listener, I'm lost, and actually the timing felt weird, and you went too far. I feel uncomfortable listening to it, so it's finding that balance.
Yeah. So you're less focused on, say, extending your range, and more focused on the concept of less is more.
Yeah, definitely not extending my range, because I can sing pretty bloody high.
Okay.
I think if I go any higher, the dogs might hear me. So I think it's more about like actually scales and creative expression.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
You think it's strange. I think it's a strange thing to actually think about and put into words. But when you're actually in the moment and doing it, you can say, well, I don't want to do this, and then you give an example of it, but I'd like to do more of this, and then you just give a little musical example of it. Yeah, it's a strange thing, because I think I've, certainly from a guitar playing point of view, I'm less interested in seeing how fast I can play, and more interested in making sure the notes that I play mean something.
I think that's it. You get to the next level. You've covered the basics. You've got the technique and the foundation. And then it's, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it to make it exciting?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it to push you to that next level? Because we can all sing the same songs, but it's how we sing them that's going to get you that next gig, that's going to get you the recommendation to go and sing with that other artist. We've got so many friends that are singing with years and years, and Jessie Ware, and they were the ones that, when we were singing together, what they were doing people would be like, whoa, you know, because I sang in a couple of professional choirs, and so you'd have like soloist moments, and the soloist that just, you know, sang it as it was, you know, but the singers that were doing stuff that was really exciting, they're doing so well, because that's people want that creativity, they want that higher level. So I think for me, as just for personal satisfaction, I want to be able to kind of express myself a bit more. My cat's going to try and jump up on my lap.
That's okay. I've shut the door, so mine shouldn't be bothering us.
He'll just yowl outside the door if I shut it. I agree. The idea of just constantly working on technique it's technique for technique's sake. Somebody said like scales and stuff are great, but it's essentially your alphabet. And no matter how fast you can recite the alphabet, you're not making poetry. Nice. Nice.
So make sure that the notes that you do use, why are they there? What's their purpose? Are they nice little melodic notes? Are they creating any tension, or are they releasing some tension? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where I think about sort of note choice and playing and stuff, rather than, oh my God, I can see if I can get 19 notes into this one beat, because nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Only the other guitar players. So
I think for me as well, a big part of my practice is actually getting influence from other singers. So I generally sing with a male counterpart, and that male counterpart might change week by week.
Yeah.
And they're always really good. And some of them, you know, I really listen to what they're doing and how they're doing it. I think, ooh, that's a little corner I'm going to explore, you know, and I love like getting that, feeding off that energy to push myself further in my exploration, just through that like peer pressure, and also listening to what they did and trying to take influence from it. I think that's definitely a big part of my kind of like working practice.
I think that's a great way to improve. Do you still have lessons? Do you still have a teacher?
No,
I
do have like mentors that are like more senior lecturer, been in the biz for a long time, worked with a lot of exciting people, and with similar kind of energy. So I have more mentors that I can talk to about my career, and that I can talk to about my life, and just who I want to be in the world. So I generally checking with those guys.
Cool.
But yeah,
that's good. So what's I think we've spoken a lot about creativity, and I couldn't find your jazz album.
I don't have a jazz album.
I swear. It's 15 or so odd years ago, and you'd unboxed it. You did like a thing on Facebook where you opened the box, you opened up the thing, and there were all these CDs.
Okay.
And I was like,
God.
and I'm sure
you
said it was a jazz album. And I was like, oh, let's see if I can find it. And I was like,
well, you're right.
Album?
That does exist, but it was in a time where I didn't even put it on Spotify. Because
that's before Spotify.
Like Spotify was like new. It was like baby Spotify.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you need to get this on Spotify. It was like, I've got these CDs and they're really beautiful. Yeah, no, I've got all the CDs. They're in the loft.
They're in the loft. Okay.
That was my like jazzy Amy Winehouse influence. Era, for sure. Played a little guitar, had a little jazzy noodle.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I only do jazz kind of if I'm booked for a jazz gig. Yeah.
Okay.
Or a session that is in the style of someone.
Okay.
Jazzy.
And so you do a lot of writing?
Yeah. I'm trying to really build that up now.
I was going to say, where does it sit now with, I think we're kind of past the backlog of COVID weddings, and I think things have settled down a little.
Yes,
so
they have.
Where do you do your writing, and how do you write? And you said you play a little guitar?
I do, but not for songwriting now. When I was trying to be like an artist when I was younger. I played the piano, played guitar, to accompany myself. But because I'm not I'm a basic instrumentalist, it's very limiting in terms of songwriting. So I started working with producers to kind of move into more of a dance genre, just to broaden my genres really. So now I collaborate with a lot of like songwriters and producers, and I also recently just got a really great hack of downloading stuff from YouTube. You can get like, it's called Type Beat.
Okay.
And then you put an artist in, so like Summer Walker, and someone has made a track that sounds like a Summer Walker song.
All right.
That they say you can use for royalty free, but I just use it as a base. So I'll take that and I'll write a whole song over it, and then I can just take that to a producer and they can delete that track and they'll make their own track underneath. And it's a really efficient way of working.
Okay.
So whenever I have a spare minute, I'll just like write a song. So I'm trying to like get a good kind of backlog of stuff to work on. So yeah, that's my little.
What do you find sort of helps that creativity? I mean, do you just say to yourself, right, I'm just going to do it now, regardless of what time, and maybe even at the behest of it sounding perfect? Do you constantly just push yourself to keep writing and creating?
Absolutely. If the first thing I write might be rubbish, but I know I just have to write it. It's kind of like you have to get the rubbish one out first to get the good one. And sometimes the rubbish one turns into the best one. And sometimes I say to myself, just get like a basic idea down. And then that might be it. Or I might get into it and actually come up with something that's way better. Sometimes I need to write to get something off my mind. That is where I've been a songwriter since I was like 8 years old, cat interlude.
That's okay.
So I've been a songwriter since I was like 8 years old, and songwriting has always been a way for me to express myself and to figure out what's going on in my head. And so sometimes I sit down and I'm like, well, I'm just writing, to an imaginary brief, or I am actually writing to a brief. And then I'll listen back and think, whoa, I just wrote a whole song about this whole thing in my life I didn't realize that I was writing about. So, but I personally love writing to a brief. I love putting on a hat and being like, ooh, what's the story? What's the style? Let's just put my funk hat on for today, or bring out the garage one. Woo, yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that for me, I really thrive off that, like writing in different styles and different moods.
Do you find that once you're put into a little box by somebody, that it's actually more freeing than someone say, just write anything you like?
Oh, I love it. No, I love it. And that's because I think I felt suffocated by the freedom of being an artist.
Yeah.
Because it was like, what's your voice? What's your sound? What's your message? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I love so many different genres. How do I boil it all down into one thing?
Yeah. Because you want to try and shoehorn everything into it. Because I can do this. I know how to do this. I can do this. And then you end up with something shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I found that really stifling. And I actually packed music, like songwriting in altogether for a good few years. And then started, I was singing on other people's like sessions for Sync, thinking, this song, I could have written this song way better. And sometimes I would end up like helping them write the song and make it better. And then I was like, why am I just getting the session fee? I could definitely write the song and sing the song.
Yeah.
So I started doing that instead.
Cool.
And then I've just been building on that, because it's an excellent job to have as a parent. You sit and write a song, and then the song goes out and makes you money.
Yeah, and then you start earning whilst you sleep.
Yeah.
Which is
passive income, my friends.
It's the
Everybody,
way forward.
Passive income. That's what we want.
And that's what we want. Is that kind of what you're focused more on?
Yeah. So I had a real like epiphany when I was in a function band with some players, and they were all in their 50s, and they played for if not the biggest girl band in the world. And they did the most insane tours and shows during the 90s. They played with everyone.
Yeah.
But it was you pay, you get played, the end.
Yeah.
And so here they are begrudgingly playing weddings in their 50s. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. So how do I not do that? So so the people who wrote the songs are just laughing, really.
Yeah.
And that was it. I kind of thought, right, I need to start focusing more on this passive income so that, and as my life has developed and as I've had my son, it's like, oh no, I really need to do this. Like, this is really good.
Yeah.
So it's just, for me now, that's just really kind of, and I like teaching. I just personally love being a nerd. So, and I love helping people, and I love helping people reach their potential. So like teaching really is my like love, my passion. But like songwriting is like, it's where I want to be focusing on. Because being a singer is excellent, and I love being a singer and being able to express myself on the weekend. I have to have that moment where I can like jump around on stage and throw my arms around a stranger and dance with them and belt until my heart's content. I need to have that as well, but that can't be everything.
Yeah.
Because look what happened in the pandemic. People that were like doing all the massive tours, like suddenly they had nothing because they didn't diversify their portfolio, which is what the MU coined 15 years ago, a portfolio career. Because then you can, when that plate smashes, you can pick up the other ones. Yeah.
I think the good thing, one of the good things of the pandemic is it all of a sudden brought people who were so far out of, certainly my league, brought them back almost to my level. So I saw people that were, some of the top session guitar players in the world were offering Zoom guitar lessons. It's like, what? Really? It was that was just a really bizarre and crazy time.
I know, wild.
But yeah, there was some that first lockdown. I don't know how that was for you, but we had a blast.
Yeah, that was
it was the middle of summer
days of the first lockdown.
Yeah. Getting paid, stay at home. The sun was out nearly every day. We got a little paddling pool, barbecues, family dinners. It was great.
Yeah.
Second one fucking sucked.
Yeah.
At Christmas.
Yeah, they did get shitter and shitter.
Yeah, I think once the government got more of a hand on how we do the lockdown, it just got worse. But it was it's just lockdown, just do your own thing. It's like, all right, we'll figure it out. And it was great. So, yeah.
I think it made everyone realise how much they needed a break because we were living a life at breakneck speed. Yeah. And I do feel like now people live their lives more intentionally. People are doing the things that they want to do more of because when you've had a break, we had that slam break. Yeah. And it's like, what am I going to come back and do? I saw so many singers that were like, I'm not coming back to do those small gigs we were doing. Yeah. If I'm going to do a gig, it's because I want to do it. Yeah. I actually loved having a 9 to 5, so I'm going to go do that. There was a big shake-up in the industry. A lot of people were like, I'm doing this because I think I should be doing it, not because I want to do it. Why am I doing this? No, I'm not going to do it. There's other things I can do. Yeah,
I think, it was almost like a stop and take stock of your life kind of moment for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel that. I definitely live a more intentional life. I was running from gig to gig to gig to gig to gig. Yeah. The Christmas before, I was literally choir gigs during the day, doing choir arrangements in the dressing rooms in the evening whilst waiting to go on to then do my night gig, then go do teaching. Then, sometimes days I was doing 3 gigs in a day. It's too much.
Stop. I'm getting exhausted listening.
I was knackered.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saved up for my maternity leave, so that was good.
Okay. So, you have a goal.
Yeah. But Jeez, yeah, it was too much, and I'd always get to Christmas and be really sick.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to have had a couple of Christmases where I've been like relaxed.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there.
Yeah,
that was. Thank you so much for coming out and taking the time to come and chat.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
It was illuminating.
Illuminating.
So yes, I guess I'll see you on whenever we meet again. Whenever we're on a gig together.
Yeah.
Whenever that may be.
Soon, I hope.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thanks very much, and
No worries.
I will speak to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.